Okay, we just made some chocolate brownies, and now we're going to make a chocolate icing to go on top. It's just going to be a thin chocolate icing. If I wanted a nice thick decadent amount, I'd do twice as much, but I'm just going to do a thin layer of the icing on top. So what I have here is almond butter, raw chocolate powder, agave. You can use honey also if you prefer. I'm going to use agave. There's less of a flavor. Both of them are great in it. And a bit of vanilla. So I'm going to use a quarter of a cup of almond butter. It's a new bottle and the oil is up at the top. I'm just going to stir it a little bit. Oh, get some from below. Yes. Okay. So a quarter cup of almond butter. Okay, if I was really smart, I would have measured my powder first because it's dry and wouldn't have made such a mess in my quarter cup. But luckily, I have another one. So, I'm going to grab a clean spoon and measure out a quarter cup of my chocolate powder, which is getting low. I should have lots for this. There we go. A quarter cup of chocolate powder. All goes in. Put that aside. My agave is a quarter cup also. I've measured that out already. So I'm just going to add this to the mixture. And a quarter teaspoon of vanilla. Measure quarter teaspoon of vanilla. And you just stir it all together. It's going to make a really beautiful chocolate icing. I like using almond butter in chocolate icing, but another thing you can use if you don't have this, you have Coconut Dream. They now make this coconut butter, Artisanal, raw organic coconut butter. And there's another one called Coconut Dream, and I think that's Natural Living, I forget the name of it. Not Wilderness. Wilderness I think might make one too. And Community, Living Tree Community, sorry. There's a few different companies that make this now, so it's a little bit confusing in some recipe books because it used to be that it would call for coconut oil or coconut butter, and it would all be the oil that's sold in the jars, and it would just be considered oil when it was melted because it melts just at slightly, like 1 or 2 degrees higher than room temperature, and it solidifies at room temperature. So when it's hard, people would call it coconut butter. And now that they make another coconut butter, which is a totally different entity, it's like, this stuff is like icing. It's amazing. And it's actually the coconut meat and the coconut oil that's blended together. So it's really quite a different entity than the coconut butter, what it used to be. Or what we used to consider coconut butter. I'm going to use my spatula just because I have all kinds of chocolate powder on the top of my spoon. But today I'm using almond butter, so I'll set that aside. And make sure it says raw if you buy an almond butter, because there's a lot on the market that aren't raw, and this says on it. Almond butter is a little bit more creamy than the coconut butter. And usually you have to melt the coconut butter a little bit to get it to really soften at room temperature to make it easy to blend. As you can see, it's getting really quite creamy. Okay, so we're ready to ice our brownies. Put these aside and bring over the brownie tray. Just going to use my spatula to make sure I get every precious drop of this icing onto the brownies. I love this so much. And then we just spread it on top. Okay, how easy was that? And lastly, you're going to make sure you leave some on your spatula to eat, because it's really good.